Okay, you are live. Okay, sorry. I was talking to myself there thinking I was on there. But anyways, it's hello tubers. Welcome to Coopersthaiadventure. Today is Monday, the May the 5th, I believe. Let's see here. Yep. And I'm in Jomtien Beach, Thailand, which is nice at Dusikran Part 2. So this is Money Matters, and we'll try and help people understand investing and some ideas. Obviously MSTY's been popular around here, guys. Big talk on that, a lot on the channel. And the other thing is Tesla for an AI play I like as well. But so yeah, anyways, hopefully you can hear me and the audio is okay. Let me know if you can, someone, and we'll if you've got questions today, don't be afraid to ask them. There's no silly questions at all, because the channel's here to help people understand, in my case on Mondays, investing. And yeah, we'll see if you've got positive comments that can help. By all means, put them on. If you've got alternative investments, we love to hear those. And I hadn't heard about MSTY until I met one of the subscribers in the pool, who shall remain nameless, Baba, and he talked about MSTY, and I thought, holy Jesus, this sounds too good to be true. And at the time I said, I think that's a scam. You better be careful. But obviously, we do our own research. The more I looked into it, the more I realized that, geez, there is something here. And, you follow the track record, and yeah, so that's of interest. They're put out by YieldMax ETFs. It's a regulated company in the States. Do your research on those guys. They do these distributions on a lot of underlying stocks that are listed on the stock exchanges in the US: Apple, Amazon, Tesla, MicroStrategy, JP Morgan Bank. I mean, there's a whack of them because they're popular. People like a monthly check. And so, yeah, that seems to be in demand these days. Very popular. The other thing is there's a lot of competition coming now, so check out those. But usually the first to the well, if they do things right, is the biggest. And I believe you'll find that this YieldMax is probably going to be the biggest. But anyways, yeah, so that's kind of today's agenda. Feel free to, again, ask any questions you have. So Bubba's on here, and Bubba's big into MSTY. A lot of our subscribers here, guys, just to give you a heads up, who are looking for an additional monthly check. I mean, some of the people here actually are investing it maybe as, I'm not going to say a flyer, but hey, let's just see what happens. It's, if it went to zero, it's not going to affect their overall life. Other people, yeah, it would. They're counting on this monthly check. So, but anyways, it seems to be a big interest in these YieldMax ETFs, especially MSTY. And Bubba's wondering that they're stating he thinks it could be $250 a share. But Bubba's a bit of an optimist, which is good. So am I. The research I've done this past few days on MSTY, I think the low is, and this was sandbagged at 150 to 250, and though that's kind of the range that most people thought it would come in. When you hear stories of $3 and $4, yeah, too optimistic as the next payout. Likely, and I think the one to count on would be $1.75 to $2. Time will tell. We'll see. It's actually this week. Now, if you're looking at MSTY, you have to get in and be a shareholder of record by an X date, they call it. And I believe that's May 8th. So that's coming up in a few days. Today's Monday. If you buy today, the closing on your stock would be tomorrow on your account. So you'd be May 6th. So you're well before the date. I think you could still buy up till definitely tomorrow, possibly Wednesday. But why risk it? it used to, a lot of the, well, some still maybe take 2 days to close, which for some reason I thought was ridiculous, but they did back it to 1 day in a lot of the exchanges on the planet. So it's dependent on that. But to be safe, if you bought today, you're okay. So I think you might see a bit of a demand today. So if you're looking at getting MSTY, and that entitles you to this month's distribution, which I think is paid out Friday. So, you know, you could pick up a quick $2 possibly that high on Friday, just from your simple investment today. Now, you know, why, Brooke, why would we not buy today, get to $2 Friday and sell immediately after we get the money? Well, typically the price of the share will drop with whatever the distribution is. And that just makes sense because otherwise everyone would be doing it. And, you know, so, and then it works its way back up, usually very quickly. So, is MSTY overvalued right now? I don't think so. It's based on the underlying stock MicroStrategy, and it's volatile, which gives you good income on these options that they're trading. So I can see MicroStrategy going up. First off, why? Because I see Bitcoin going up. So Bitcoin kind of drives everything, which will drive the price of MicroStrategy, which will drive the price of the premiums you receive, which should drive the price of MSTY. So all in all, yeah, that's kind of in a layman's terms how it works. I have thought that Tesla is also one I would suggest people do their research and look at, because I see a similar thing happening with Tesla as MicroStrategy. In other words, Tesla is such a diversified AI play, battery packs, humanoid robots, self-driving vehicles. These are all proceeding along. There's no losers, let's say, that they've got heavily into. So they are going to be the leaders in those areas, in my opinion. I do believe the stock is undervalued, but then I believe MicroStrategy is undervalued too, because I believe Bitcoin's undervalued. So, but you know, time will tell, won't it? Anyways, so I'm going to go down the comments here now and see. Blakester Drums. Oh, wait, yeah, you better click them on here. There's Bubba's. That's his guess on the MSTY payout. And by the way, wouldn't that be great if Bubba was right, guys? Blakester Drums, it's Crypto Monday, correct, Blakester? Thanks for being a channel member. Coop always points that out. Nomad Jack, good morning, Brooke and all the CBD gang. Good morning, Nomad. We did meet you, didn't we? Yeah, here we go. Robert Pierpont. Richard, the less they pay, the less erosion. I'm sure it's going to be 2 to 250. Yeah, you might be right, Robert. They believe it or not, they made a whack of money this month. And the funny thing is, guys, they made enough money to pay out $4. Okay, but they're not gonna. And it's prudent to keep some back for, you know, maybe a month they didn't make that much. So that's why I think the majority of people I've researched on that follow these payouts and follow the actual trading of the options, and that's where you kind of know how much they made. They believe it's going to be in this range of around $2, 175 to 250, say. So, but hey, guys, the return on that, when you're talking a $25 stock, that's you know, 8% for the month, for 1 month. Guys are happy making that in a year in the old days, isn't it? Tony Montana, good morning, Brooke. Great to see you. Great to see you, Tony. Up and at 'em. Jeff Trujillo. Let's see what Jeffy says. Evening, Brooke. Evening, Jeff. Roger the Dodger Walker. Good morning, Brooke and everyone. Good morning. Scotty S. Yes, I think he's over in Wahin. Good morning, everyone. Alfa Romeo. Now, that name rings a bell. Good evening, Brooke and fellow subs. Yeah, Alpha's back in Ontario. I think probably the weather's nicer now there, Southern Ontario. Stony Creek, I believe. Looking to come over here soon, hopefully, Elf, I hear. Jeff Trio, my MSTY average is 2072. Well done. I'm up 5%. You're probably up more than that because at $25, you'd be up roughly 20%. But yeah, there's a bunch of subscribers here, guys. I think we came on the channel a week or two ago and said, Jesus, MSTY's anything under 20 is a great buy. And guys got in at 18, 18 and a half, 19, under 20, anything under 20. So they've done well in a couple weeks, but don't panic. Don't sell your stock for a quick gain because I think it's going to keep going. And I think the payouts are going to continue, in other words, escalating. The last two payments were the lowest on record since inception 14 months ago. So this will be a nice turnaround. And I think it's in YieldMax's interest to increase them because that'll actually even create more interest. So there's a whack of trading on this. It's a very liquid stock, which is good, but so is MicroStrategy. Jeff Trio, retired dividends says $2. Okay, so there you go. Yep. Kind of what we've been indicating here too. And don't kid yourself. Watch that guy. He's sharp. I definitely watch him. And anyone invested in MSTY probably does watch the guy. The reason now it's technical, so you're not going to understand everything, but you're going to get a gist of what he's saying. He does analyze every option trade. So he's got his spreadsheets and he'll see when they open, when they close. Thank heavens YieldMax is open with that. So you're able to actually see what they are doing, how they're trading. The net asset value of the stock is listed. So, you're not paying for pie in the sky. And yeah, but yeah, so that's Retire on Dividends, it's called, guys. It's a YouTube channel. Robert, and there's others. Robert Pierpont at Jeff Trio, that's a moot point when you own MSTY, up or down, really doesn't matter unless you are selling. And Robert's got a point there. Let me move that screen. I know I spoke to some friends as recent as yesterday. What about the stock, Brooke? You think it's a good buy? You mentioned 20, anything under is a steal. And yeah, now it's 25. What should I do? And I said, look, if you're a short-term trader, that's different. But people typically in MSTY aren't. They're in for the long term. Why? Because they're in for the distribution. They want that monthly check. They're not sure how much it's going to be. Just give me some money every month that I can live on. And when you have that mentality, in other words, you're a long-term holder, as long as I'm getting a monthly check every month, that's what matters to me. And if you have belief that MicroStrategy will continue, Bitcoin obviously initiates it, go upwards, then yes, you'll always have volatility, which means you'll have option premium, which means they'll make income, selling for these premiums. You'll always get a check. The question is how much. But if they know what they're doing, and they do, I believe, these guys have been long-term traders on options. So, and obviously with the payouts, guys, they're making money. They've done well. So I tend to agree with Robert. It's a kind of a moot point. Even guys that got into $30 that say maybe, or $40, believe it or not, when it peaked, because sometimes you get caught buying at the high. It's a FOMO. I got to get in. I'm going to miss out if I don't. They probably got their money back or close to it. In other words, if they added what the shares now and what all they've returned, they're probably up money. Obviously, you're up more if you paid at 20 than you did at 40. But so the key is if you buy and hold the stock and get your monthly check, that's maybe what's the most important point to you. So yeah, so good point, Robert. I tend to agree with that. Steve Boston, good morning, Brooke, Cooper, and gang from Aussie land. Yes, we have Aussies now. Stevie, if you're looking at getting into MSTY, apparently the Aussies can do it through a company called Stake, STAKE, I believe it's spelled. That seems to be the one that's used, obviously. Maybe it's the only one. I'm not sure. But I do know that they have issues in Australia with the banks even wanting to let their customers invest in crypto. and maybe in markets such as this. But stake, yes, they haven't had an issue because it's kind of considered a stock, so not necessarily a crypto. But okay, yeah, check into that, Steve. Jeff says, agree, I'm in for the long haul. Yeah, I found over my trading career, guys, when I was trying to do quick trades in and out, yeah, you'd make some profit on some, lose on others. But I realized over many, many, many years, buy and hold is the way to go. Less headaches, less, worry. You sleep good at night when you do obviously you do a lot of research, do a lot, listen to everything, learn. And then you become committed, which I am, to Bitcoin and Tesla, that, hey, I know where it's going. So when it has these volatile ups and downs, the paper hand guys sell and it drops. And, the long-term guys like me, we tend to probably buy a little more, add to our bags. Buy and hold is the way to go. So especially when you've done your research and you're committed. The people that don't sleep well, panic, they haven't done enough research. They're not committed to the stock. They don't see, oh, my buddy told me I better get into this. My brother told me that. Do your own research, because that's the way you'll sleep better at night. Robert says, if MSTY runs to $40 or more, I will sell. Otherwise, nope, sell at 40 and wait to buy back in below 30. Yeah, so I'm not saying there isn't a price that you would sell, because, like, look, if it hit 40 next week, next month, oh, that's a quick double. Yeah, maybe I better take some money off the table. Now, maybe you don't sell it all. Maybe you'd sell half that bag. So basically, you're playing with house money. You know what I mean? If you paid 20 and sold half the bag at 40, you've got no money invested. You're playing with house money. So that might be something, but I don't see that happening very quickly. Maybe not at all, but time will tell. I do see a monthly payment coming out of MSTY, and probably in a lot of guys' cases, if you plan it properly, you can definitely supplement your income here. Believe it or not, I think on 1,000 shares of MSTY, which, what are we talking about, 25,000 US on that, you probably could generate enough money to live on in Thailand, per month. The short month, you'd be 1,300 US to live on, and the good months should be, 4,000, but, try and save some of that maybe. LV 151 says, greetings, Brooke and the Coop Squad. Yes, there's another regular. Don Delonic, Mr. XRP, is MSTY going to be $5 or $2? Ain't going to be $5, Donnie. That I'll guarantee you. Bet on that. They sold $330 calls at around $390. They made $260. Yeah, they made a ton of money this month, Donnie. And some of the statistics said they made, $4 a share. Why wouldn't they pay it? Well, they're not required to pay anything until their end of fiscal year, which is October. And then they have to pay out 90% of the money they have made during that year. Now, obviously, they're not holding on to the ton of the money. They're paying distributions every month. Now, here's the funny story, guys. Some months they pay more than they made, okay? Maybe it's to maintain their streak of dividends or whatever reasons they do. But yes, there's been situations in the past, the 14 months, where they've paid out more than they have made. So you're basically getting a return of your capital, okay? Or, there's another situation where they've saved money from a prior month. In other words, they didn't pay out all they made, carried it forward, then paid out more than they made, but they're still okay. So the only requirement they have to pay is 90% of the income they earn by their end of the fiscal year, which is the end of October. Now, the interesting point I took from that, you maybe want to be in damn sure you're in it for September and October, because that's the law to pay that out. And these are regulated companies. So yeah, they're audited in the US. So yeah, I wouldn't worry about, are these scams, or are they? No, these aren't FTX guys or whatever they're, the bad boys. So Donnie, your point though, They did make a ton of money. I can see them carrying a lot of that over for a rainy day, let's call it, or a down month. And wouldn't it be nice if it was 250 there? So yeah, they made 4 and they paid out 250. I got no issue with that. That's a great payout. And guys that would, have recently got into MSTY would love that. Personally, I think it'll be $2. A lot of guys think 175, which is a big increase from what it was last month, but still not enough, is it? Robert Pierpont says, I can't see passing up almost a year's worth of distributions, or maybe 9 months or so worth, by not selling MSTY. If it runs to $40, it will drop back down to buy at a new level. Yeah, but that's kind of standard, guys. If with any stock, if you have a massive increase within, 2 to 6 months, it's very prudent to take a bit of those gains off the table, bank the profit, and just maybe sit on cash for a rainy day. If you've got cash when and there's always disruption in the market, black swan events, call it what you want. COVID was a big example. People ran for the hills selling, during COVID, and the smart guys were in there buying, because they realized, hey, eventually these things come to an end. So, but yeah, so look, if that ever gets to that, we'll sure be talking about it and things that maybe we would do. But, always take a profit. You never take a loss, they say. But Johnny Poulos, Southside Johnny. For you that aren't acquainted with John, he makes a terrific coffee, Greek coffee, and he's coming over here. So we're all anticipating his arrival for his great coffee. Just kidding, Johnny. We'd love to see you anyways. Good morning, Brooke and viewers. Hope everyone is well. I'll put my prediction in at $2 for MSTY. Let's see who gets closer. Yeah, good. Everybody's got a prediction. Derek McClintock, hello from San Diego. Wow, nice area here. Never been, but since we were talking finance today, would you give an estimated monthly budget for a single guy and jump in if you don't have any, have to really stress about budget? Absolutely. So I try to look at around 2,000 a month US. Now I'm Canadian, but I invest in US dollars, the least of the worst currencies, so to speak. And I don't trust the Canadian peso. So, but that budget works fine for me. Now, occasionally I'll have a beer. I'm not a heavy drinker. If I do go out, it's like 2-3 beers. I don't need expensive toys. Don't care. Jackie cooks a lot at home, although we eat out. I love kebabs, things like that. So I'm not what I would say is a big spender. And I can easily live on that 2,000 a month, and that's paying $660, I think, for a condo. And then the rest. But the thing is, things are so cheap here. Like your cell service is $12 a month. Your internet's like $5, $10 maybe. So budget yourself $1,000 a day, save for food, or 1,000 baht. You couldn't spend it. You'll know where to eat the good meals. You can get a filling breakfast for 150 baht. You can get a kebab for less than 100 baht. So there's 2 meals done, and a lot of people only eat 2 meals a day. But yeah, so it's very affordable living here. Obviously, your lifestyle dictates how much you will spend. A lot of the guys, good friends I have, some on the channel right now, they like to go out for a few more beers than I do. Good. I stay with them. That's my limit. But so we're all different. Some of the guys do love the ladies, and that can add up. Okay, so yeah, you have to do your own budget on your own lifestyle. But I would say, and now I do know people, Derek, that are living here on what I would say is about 1,000 to 1,250 US a month. Very frugal, happy guys. They're not panicking. They don't worry. They have their budgets. They stick to their budgets. So there's people here that actually live on half of what I do. Now, they're not living in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath. They're living in a studio, probably paying 5,000 to 8,000 baht for that. And their budget's probably 35,000 baht a month. You know, they're maybe putting out, you know, 600-700 a day for food, and the rest is, you know, pays the electric, pays the rent, and you know, it's, you can do that. On the upscale side, 2,500 to 3,000 US a month. Jesus, I couldn't spend that, but some people can, and they're, you know, the fancier restaurants. You can go to a fancy steak restaurant here, and you know, you can drop 60, 80, 100 bucks on a meal for two people. So, you know, that's you know, 3,000 baht right there. So but anyways, yeah, it depends on your budget, on your lifestyle, and that will dictate your budget. But I would say most people here in a 2 to 3,000 a month range for the expats. Obviously, you got a lot of, that are less than that, and you got a lot that are more. I got a buddy staying in a, you know, a 50,000 baht. You know, that's $1,500 a month condo, one bedroom with the best sea view and nice building and jumped in my opinion. Yeah, his budget's a lot more than mine. So, but it's what you can afford. And, you know, put it this way, anyone watching the channel, and even when Coop's on, he'll tell the same thing. You are much better in Thailand for a quality of life, a stress-free life, than you would be back in the West. West, North America, Europe, Australia, even. Come and see why, and you won't regret it. So, but yeah, that's hopefully that's of some interest, Derek. You know, we can get into more details. Really, just kind of figure everything's cheap here. You know, spicy food is good. I like that. But what you want to do if you've never been here, Derek, is come for, I tell people, at least a week. Better yet, come for a month. If you can stretch it to 2, even better yet. You will get your boots on the ground. You'll get the vibe. You'll get the feel. You'll meet other expats, for example, at our meet and greets. Everyone's smiling. Everyone says the same thing. Thank God we're in Thailand, you know. But yeah, so experiencing it for yourself makes it real. Obviously, doing your research, watching the videos, asking questions about budget, that does give you a good feel. But there's nothing like boots on the ground to experience it. Then it's real. Everything else is talk, you know, and videos. But when it's here and it's real for you, it's real. Hopefully that helped a bit. Oh, there's Derek, but not going crazy either. I know you did one over a year ago on live stream, 3 to 4 to 5. Yeah. Those, you're in the high end of budgets with that. So you're going to get a terrific condo, you know, one of these new buildings on the beach, you know, maybe a 2-bedroom if you want it, that, you know, is going to be, you know, 1,500, 2,000 a month for accommodations. I would never pay that. I don't need to, and I'm happy. So, but everyone, there's lots of people that would pay, you know, 1,000 to 1,500 a month for their building, and they're okay with that. So that's part of the budget, obviously. And accommodations will be the biggest part of your budget when you come to Thailand, guys. So depending what your budget is, that, you know, take 30%, and maybe that's what you should plan, you know, 30-35% of what you should spend on a accommodation. If you have a, you know, if you got a $2,000 budget, you want to keep it around $600-700 kind of as your accommodation expense. So you can kind of work it that way too. So but no, that those figures there, Derek, 3, 4, 5, you'll absolutely have no issues here living in Thailand, affordable. Now, my advice, if you've got that kind of monthly income, save. You know, live for a happy life. In other words, what you need to invest wisely, or spend wisely, I should say. Invest the rest, and you know, for a rainy day. Donnie Dondolanak, our XRP guru. The smart people have bought at 1827. They're up 40% plus 2 payouts in less than 2 months. Yep. You know, you make your money the day you buy, guys. Feel sorry for the MicroStrategy call options, ate it big time. Who owned the other side of the 330 call? There you go. Like, for every seller, there's a buyer, and for every buyer, there's a seller, guys. So somebody was betting that, you know, MicroStrategy go up, and the guy that took the opposite of that trade, MicroStrategy is going down. So, you know, that's what makes a market. So, but we don't worry about that, Donnie. We just worry about ourselves, right? And Donnie's a channel member, by the way. You can see that little star there. Thank you for that, Donald, and the rest of us. $2 a month, I think, and supports the channel. Robert Pierpont at Jeff Trio, where the current price really matters, it's if you use leverage, then the current price matters. Yeah, now we're not big on leverage here, Robert. We don't tend to recommend that. And if you do use leverage, keep it very, very tight control. So, and what leverage is, guys, you use borrowed money basically to buy. So if if you got 10,000 in an account, it's a margin account, let's say, they might say, oh, you can buy up to 30,000 of stock. What? Only got 10 in there and they'll let me buy 30. Yeah, I think that's a heck of a buy. As soon as that thing drops 2% or 5%, if you've used up your leverage, they want you to put more money in. You got to bring it back to where your margin's covered. So if you had 10,000 and they offered you, 3-to-1 leverage on that, so you got access to buy 30, you might only buy, 10,000, maybe 15, 10 of yours and 5 of theirs. So, you're not too heavily leveraged, but the stock would have to go down by a third, and then, you're still okay, but you've lost money. So yeah, be careful with leverage, be very careful. When I first had that, decades ago, oh man, you get carried away sometimes, and you got to, comes home to roost. You pay the piper. So yeah, don't do that. And if you are going to do it, you better do a lot of research and make damn sure you're in the right stock at the right time at the right price. For guys that know how to handle leverage and are disciplined, which is what you need, you can actually have that make money for you. And an example of that would be this, guys. Watch Invest Answers, Jamie, because he talks about leverage. And, if he can get a 3% mortgage on a property, he'll pay the minimum on that mortgage till the cows come home. Never prepay, doesn't, pay off any more principal. Why? That's the cost of his capital, 3%. He's using that capital to make him 10, 15, 20, 50, 100%. He figures if he can't triple his money, he's not going to invest in anything. So, so that's intelligent use of leverage. In other words, taking that 3% loan and buying stocks that are maybe paying dividends of 5 or 6% or 7% a year. You're winning just on that simple trade. But yeah, for the average person, leverage is probably something you want to do a lot of research in before jumping in the bandwagon. Derek says, trying to figure out how much MSTY I need. Yeah. If you'd like to generate, say, 2,000 a month on average, now let's say, guys, I think 133 on those last two payments, 137 were low. $4 is too high. I think you could use an average of about $2. Or you want to be real conservative, sandbag it, use $1.75, say. And so 2,000 shares at $1.75 payout would be 3,500 US a month. Now, if you're from the US, you wouldn't have withholding tax, Derek, but you'd have to, settle up with the IRS at the end of the year. But anyways, that'll give you a ballpark figure. 2,000 shares should give anybody a comfortable living in Thailand. Heavens to Betsy. So what's 2,000 shares? About 50 grand US. And you're going to have, and there's probably people that do it on less than that. So, maybe 1,500 shares because you got a cheaper lifestyle. So, but yeah, that might be a ballpark figure for how many MSTY shares. There's subs here with 5 times that amount. There's subs here with, under 200 shares. So it all depends on your situation, but everyone's in for the same reason. They like that monthly check. So to supplement your income, and it's good, Derek, to have other income streams. For me, I do have 2 pensions, although they're quite small, coming in, and option premiums, and so yeah, there's ways to diversify your income sources. For a lot of people, though, MSTY could be the one that gives them the most reliability for a monthly check. Derek says, trying to figure out how much. Okay, yeah, we got that one. Blakester says, did you check into the Canadian MSTY? Yes, I did. Harvest MicroStrategy. You are correct, Blakester, for yourself and your fellow Canadian viewers. Okay, good point, Blakester. Yes, I did. So in Canada, now luckily I have accounts that are in US dollars in Canada. My TFSAs are in US dollars. My margin accounts in US dollars. My RIF account is in US dollars, so pensions and tax-free and that trading, for example. But they're all in US dollars. So I typically buy then US stocks. But there's, a segment of, and a lot in Canada who, don't have, or for whatever reason, can't access US dollar accounts. They're more familiar with Canadian dollars. They trust Canadian dollars maybe, better. But you can buy these, and the interesting thing, it's the same symbol, MSTY, and then you got the two dots, Toronto TO or, CA possibly. You check out the symbol on the TSX, which is the Toronto Stock Exchange. I think the stock's around 11 and change in Canadian dollars, and it pays a 40-cent a month payment. Now, 40 cents, and they've done that 3 months in a row since inception, Blakester, from what I read. 40 cents, that's like a little under 4% per month. Hey, that's nothing to sneeze about. That's like 48% a year, say 44% a year, whatever the numbers work. But that's a fantastic return compared to what? Well, compared to GIC certificates, money market, or the 7% dividend payers, on the Toronto Stock Exchange. So, but yeah, so that might avail itself to people that are in Canada, have access to those accounts I mentioned that I have, want to stay in Canadian dollars, and that's a vehicle that they will get a monthly check. So, as I said earlier, this is getting to be very popular instrument for investing, and you're going to see a lot of competitors enter the market, which will be good. Should keep the fees down, keep the distributions coming. Obviously, there'll be a competition for the higher yields, so the cream eventually rises to the top. I just know with MSTY that the payouts obviously have been bigger. These are professional traders, been around a long time, and yeah. So for me, I stick with the U.S. stocks, but a lot of people can't, so they got to stick with in Canada's case, the Canadian ones, the markets. That would be where to look. So take a look at that Harvest. I forget the Harvest investment. If you Google it, you'll come up with it. And they, I believe, do have other. I just looked for the MSTY, to be honest with you, Blakester, but I'm sure they'll have other vehicles that they can trade in. I know in the U.S., I definitely am looking at Tesla as a monthly payer, because I think it still think it's undervalued at eight and change. But hey, time will tell. I do have Tesla stock, so I'm okay that way, because that's the underlying asset. But yeah, thanks for that question, Blakester. And any more you have like that, definitely put them in the screen, or tips or options. Maybe if you're investing in it, be interesting to hear your thoughts. Don again says, where else can you buy and go golfing, pool, sauna, jacuzzi, and only have to pay less than 1%? They trade 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and very professional. Okay. Who's doing that, Donnie? That's 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. The golf guys. Frank T, what's your end year price target for Bitcoin? Oh, I think we'll have a new all-time high this month in May. Adoption is growing. Can you believe that idiot governor in Arizona vetoed the bill? I mean, to me, that's going to be like Germany, coming up when geez, now we got to get into Bitcoin. We shouldn't have sold those 40,000 coins, which is what Germany did at 40 grand, bozos. I think the year-end price, Frank, is going to be Probably a minimum of 150, could be 250. We'll see. I mean, I think we're going to have a big surge. I think we're having a new all-time high this month, and then we'll see where it goes from there. I'm hoping it does have some volatility where it will go down a bit. It does provide an entry point. But maybe we're just going to see that steady rise going forward, because adoption's growing leaps and bounds. So yeah, we'll see on that, Frank. What's your prediction, Frank? That'd be interesting to hear. But listen, guys, I'm not selling even at 250. Why? I did my research. I know where it's headed. Why sell at 250 when it's going to go into $1 million? Well, the reason is, Brooke, because you want to take some lifestyle chips off the table. Yeah, that could be a reason. If you said, geez, I've been dreaming about a beachfront condo. It's only going to cost me $1. Maybe I should take $1 off the table and live in that beachfront condo. Okay. Jeff Trio, you're right, Brooke, up 20%, $2,400 in unrealized gains. Yeah. So there's guys here, they've made, a good return. When they got in at 18 and change, even 19 and change, they're probably smiling now, thinking, Jesus, Misty's the best thing since sliced bread. Kenny Beck, Tesla will start generating more income off the Tesla Megapack. Correct. Spain and Portugal power outage has shown that these systems are crucial. Kenny is absolutely right, guys. You talk about they wanted to go green and cut back on this and that in Europe, and look what happened. Europe's screwed, in my opinion, because energy is going to be the key. Kenny probably knows this too, of driving AI in the future. Well, guess what? If you ain't got the energy, you're not going to lead the world, lead the pack. So energy is very important going forward. Now, guess what Tesla's into, guys? It's called Megapacks. And I believe the first country to use this, where you see, so you generate electricity, but you don't necessarily use it all. And that these Megapacks allow you to store that surplus energy for a time when it is needed. And I've read where, if the further you send electricity along power lines, the higher your loss percentage is. So the further the distance energy has to travel, the higher the reduction in energy you receive goes. So there is shrinkage, I guess you'd call it, whatever. But with Tesla's Megapacks, they can build factories anywhere pretty quick because they've got this cookie cutter system now. Back to Australia, and I remember Musk here, and I don't know if it's true or not, tend to believe it, that they were concerned about this working. And Tesla said, you don't pay me until it's up and running. And if it don't work, you don't pay me. Oh, okay. Well, that sealed the deal. And it's working fine. And so they're the first country. They've got surplus energy being stored. So you'll probably not have that issue. But going forward, yeah, Europe maybe is going to be in trouble because how can you have whole countries' power system go out? Not for 10 minutes. We're talking days. Hello. Now in Thailand, let's get back to Thailand. Ain't had a problem. Had problem in the Philippines. Ain't had that here. So yeah, but again, like anything, guys, I don't want to make this financial advice, just something I believe in. I do. I'd like to share my thoughts. Research Tesla. Research your Bitcoin. Research Tesla. I do my Bitcoin through MicroStrategy, so research them. All right. Glenn Shaw, if I get rambling here, just put a comment in. Brooke, you're rambling too much. Glenn Shaw, good morning, Brooke. Thanks for your help in pointing me in the misty direction. I did my research and happy with my 1950 a share buy. Well, you're happy and I'm happy, Glenn. There's 25 something today. And I think, guys, you could see it open a bit higher. We'll see. We'll see what MicroStrategy opens at. It's going to pull itself along with that, which is determined by what Bitcoin price is doing to some extent. So they don't track perfectly. But if Bitcoin keeps going up, you're going to see MicroStrategy keep going up, and you're going to see Misty keep going up, in my opinion. So be interesting on that. But yeah, great buy on that, Glenn. Johnny Poulos, these yield max ETFs would have been good to get into in our younger days. Retire earlier in the land of smiles. Well, Johnny, listen, you're young, okay? Compared to what? Compared to me. So hey, you've got a lot of good years ahead of you. So you're never too old to learn. You're never too young to retire. So a day in retirement's way better than a day in working any job I know of. So, but yes, the yield max ETFs. John's got a good point there. They're for people that, hey, I'd like to get us a monthly check. Some dividends pay quarterly, some semi-annually, some once a year. Isn't it great to get a monthly check? You got certainty. Although it can vary, at least you're certain of getting a check. So, but yeah, it does help that way. And yeah, and you know what? It keeps you in the game, keeps you interested, probably keeps you researching, like watching these retire and dividend guys and lookalikes to see, hey, I wonder what it's going to be this month. Rage Bulas, superhero platform also besides Stake in Oz for Misty. Okay, thanks for that, Rage. Thanks a lot. I've never heard of that. But yeah, any of these, I mean, I've never heard of Stake, so you obviously want to check it out for, is it legit? How long has it been around? Same with superhero platform. How long has it been around? And is there anything backing it? Are your funds on deposit guaranteed? These are all questions, guys. You can do research. And for research, take a look at Grok, Grok. You can plug in questions. It's kind of AI driven search engine. And it'll be quick. You'll get an answer back on, how long has Stake been around in Australia? Is it government run? Is it government audited? Is it government backed? Are my funds safe? You can ask all those questions and it'll come up with an answer. And then you might want to do further research by, say, Perplexity, and do the same question on there and see if the answer is the same. The more answers you get that are identical, the more you can kind of tend to believe it. But there can be variations. So, do more than just one search engine for an answer. But thanks again for that, Rage. I hadn't heard of that superhero platform. I might just try and take a look at that and just see, because we do have a lot of Aussies here. There's a whack of Aussies here, guys. And they all say the same thing. Oh my God. They hate their banks back there because, oh, sir, why are you transferring these funds? What are you using it for? And Brownie tells politely, none of your business. It's my money. Just send it to me. Oh, well, we just want to make sure it's not a scam. Hey, I did all my authentications, Jesus. Yeah. Freddie Quinn, morning, Brooke. People mention selling their house before moving to Thailand. I've always thought that it would make sense to rent your house out first until you're sure about living in the land of smiles. And I think Freddie's right on that. For the average person, maybe for the majority, walk before you run, crawl before you walk. So, you're running to Thailand, but, you should have been here first, guys, before you'd ever sell your house, just to make sure it is for you. There has been one case I know of. People had bad asthma, couldn't take the burning season in, which is only part of the year, mind you, but that's part of the year they needed to get the heck out of here. So, and we're quite a ways away from this area that does the burning up in Laos and Myanmar, Burma area. Then another person couldn't take the heat or humidity. I don't know if he'd been here long enough to acclimate, so maybe he should have stayed. But anyways, you do want to have boots on the ground. You do want to experience it in real time for yourself. All these videos you see, I was skeptical. Let's go see if these condos are as nice as it is and the people are as friendly. And you get here and then you start to get, reality on, yeah, it is, for the most part, exactly as illustrated. Some people have said, Coop, you undersell Thailand. It's way better than even you said. So isn't that a nice thing to hear? But so in regards to your house, you're going to come to Thailand for the first time, say, definitely don't sell it. Maybe not even rent it, because your maybe first time's only a month. But you've been here once or twice or a few, and you realize, oh yeah, shit, I'm better retiring there. you still have ties to the home country. So shit, I'm just going to rent my house out. Now, you got to make sure you get good tenants, they maintain it properly. You better have somebody that's there to check in case the rent didn't get paid or there's a hole in the roof or a leak or what. You need reliable people back home in lieu of you being there. So that's an issue you have to address. You've got income coming in, so that's a plus. But then if you sold the house, you'd invest and you'd have income coming in. So in my case, I had two properties, one in Florida, one in Canada. I sold the one in Canada first, figuring, okay, I can winter in Florida if I need, and Thailand for another 6 months. But after living here, I realized, shit, I don't need irons in the fire back there. I love it here. I do have a room in my daughter's basement. Should I go home for a visit? I haven't been there in a couple of years. Don't need to. But I sold everything. And my philosophy was I can do better investing liquid, stay liquid. My investments will earn me a return just as good or better than maybe hanging on to these real estate investments. I also realized I didn't have homeowner fees to pay anymore. I didn't have property taxes to pay anymore. I didn't have maintenance and upkeep to pay anymore. Both properties, I was not living in them year round. I was, 6 months and 6 months, say. And, hey, so am I happy I did it? Absolutely. I got out at good times in their values. Maybe some of the values went up since. I don't care. I made money on my investments. The one in Florida, I sold and bought into Bitcoin. Oh, yes. How'd you do? Damn good. Okay, so that's just my case. So, yeah, everybody's different. That's a way to do it, Freddie. So in a way, I kind of totally agree with you. Now, once you're here, though, and you realize, yeah, this is pretty damn good. Maybe there's an alternative for use of the money. It's not, hey guys, it's not like you're losing a house. It's an asset. That's all it is. It's an asset. Now, if I take that money from that asset, what will I do with that money? You know what? I think there's a better asset out there to buy. That's the way you look at it. You can always do well in crypto, and I might do this someday. Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, Tesla, they do a 10x. Maybe I'll go take some lifestyle chips and buy that condo on the beach. So, it's never say never. Just my own personal opinion on that. Live and earn with Mike. Good morning, Brooke. One last thing back to Freddie there. People maybe feel more comfortable owning a house. Like it gives them certainty. I've got a place to go if, World War III broke out or whatever. There's different, COVID strikes. I'm getting the heck out of here. I'm going home. That might be a reassurance for some people. But when you look into the expenses of carrying a house, real estate, might be better to stay more liquid. Good morning, Brooke says, live and earn with Mike. Good morning, Mike. Dunny Dundalonak, our XRP guru. At Robert Pierpont, I have my MSTY sell order in at 200. Well, Donnie, you are a real optimist. You sure you're not selling yourself short? It's at 24.50, but if it hits 200, Donnie's selling. I think if you sell at 40 and buy back at 30, you might wait a long time if Bitcoin hits 200K. Yeah. Now, Donnie's point is, shit, 40 is a double, and maybe it took 2 months, 3 months, whatever. Take some money, or take it all, and I'll buy back. I'm going to buy back at 20 or 30, whatever, and it don't hit it. Because Bitcoin keeps going to the moon, MicroStrategy keeps going to the moon, the option premiums keep going to the moon. MSTY, guess what? Keeps going up. So maybe it hits 60, and then from there 80. So now Coop thinks it's going to 100. Well, I says, Coop, don't hold your breath on that. But hey, maybe he's right. I hope he is. Jerry Hart says, good morning, Brooke. Good morning, my fellow coffee man. Jerry loves his coffee, too. And he's a good guy. We like Jerry. Live and earn with Mike. MSTY is new, so people are not worried it might go belly up. No, it won't go belly up, Mike. they are regulated. Here's the thing, guys, and I get asked that question too. Got asked it last night. They are, so it's a US based company. They are audited. They're monitored by the SEC, Securities and Exchange Commission. Yeah. Now the SEC has let people down in the past. Look at, what was it, FTX, I think, that fiasco. But they've got a track record. It's real. They have offices, they have people working, they have payouts. I always tend to look, Mike, oh my God, this company's starting up. This is 14 months ago. It's called YieldMax, and they got this product called MSTY, and they're going to pay out a distribution every month. I kind of like that. How much is the stock? It's $20. That maybe was a time when people, I don't know if I should wait and watch what happens. Okay, so good, you did. Well, you've seen 14 months of payouts. You've seen the stock where it's gone up and down. So it's not going anywhere. They are making money. And obviously you got to make money. If you don't make money and you keep losing, you're going to be out of business. But no, they do make money. So I wouldn't worry about that, Mike. What I would worry about is the entry price I get in. So that's always, there's an old saying, guys, you make the money a day you buy. And I tend to believe that. If you buy right on a stock, you can sit and hold till the cows come home. You're going to be happy. If you buy too high, if you bought in at 40, then, you better have a lot of time on your side, and you'll probably still get bailed out. Time on your side means you hold that long enough, you're going to get distributions, which will reduce your average cost, as well as the fact it's got time for the stock to recover. So, but no, I don't worry about belly up on that at all. I don't worry about belly up on Bitcoin, nor MicroStrategy, nor Tesla. Why? I did my research. I feel very comfortable as to where they're headed. I'm long term, and when will I take those lifestyle chips off? 2030. We'll see. Robert says, I'd live and learn with Mike. If you think Bitcoin will go belly up, no, it won't. And Mike, no, it won't. Then MSTY would go belly up. Yep, no, it won't. But the theory there is correct. If you thought Bitcoin was going to zero, now, as Jamie at Best Answers says, there's always a risk, and let's just say, what's the risk of Bitcoin going to zero? It's not non-zero. It is non-zero. There's a small percentage, probably less than 1%. How could that happen? Well, you could have a nuclear war. You could have every country on the planet got together, banned it. What's the likelihood of any of these scenarios? Less than 1/10 of 1%, 1/1000th of 1%. It's still a hypothetical percentage, but it's nothing I would worry about on any of those issues. So don't lose a lot of sleep on worrying about the future. Enjoy life, and common sense will prevail. Robert Pierpont at Dundalink, that's a big if, in my opinion. I think he was being facetious about his $200 sell order, Robert, when the stock's at $24.50. I think Donnie would be exiting a lot before 200, possibly not, but then Donnie says he's never going to sell his XRP, till it goes to the moon. So we'll see. The U.S. is getting ready to see pain with job losses and bear shelves very soon. Probably, I think, Robert, thinking because of the tariff situation. I see a down market coming, new lows, not new highs in the next few months. And Robert's got a point of view there. And in a way, I can see a lot of what he's saying possibly coming true with job losses, obviously. I think it's occurred. I think we're probably in the midst of a small recession currently. Job losses are one thing that would indicate that. Bare shelves, I don't know. I think there'll always be something on the shelves, even if they spread out the product, so to say. Down market, we've been in a pretty good up market, but then again, we've had some down drafts. There's been some good buying days. Look at MSTY at under at $18. Heavens, that's a buy, obviously, as it turned out. Tesla was a buyback. I bought some. MicroStrategy's been a hell of a buy. Bitcoin has been on sale. We keep saying. Now, not so much. I think it's 95s currently. I haven't checked this morning. But yeah, so I think, but a point Robert's making, guys, keep some cash, dry powder, they call it. Keep some cash on hand for a big drop. You get that one day or a panic or something, and some of it could be fake news. You know what I mean? Wouldn't that be great? You get fake news, and then you jump in, and then it was turned out to be fake, and the price goes way back up again. So, so what you want to do, in my opinion, do your research. You don't have to go out and jump and buy right away. There'll always be a sale on something. Trust me. So, but do your research so you're ready and willing and able, because you have the money sitting in dry powder, to buy when there's a sale on, I call it. Keep in mind, guys, on a down market, the good gets sold with the bad. We're talking like a panic here. The good gets sold with the bad. So you want to be ready to buy the good. And that's where keeping dry powder will help you. Just go from there. Do I see a huge depression coming? No, not at all. The government they have the money printer, and it'll be revving up big time if they think there's even a recession coming. So and what that does, it'll keep asset prices going. The more money that's printed has to go somewhere. Well, guess what? It goes to buy something, hard assets, because people don't want to hang on to paper too long. Baba, Richard Duger, my budget was $2,000 a month in Thailand. I had a condo on the beach. He had a nice 1-bedroom on the beach. I was there. Nice view, newer building, great. So, and $2,000 a month, that's a great budget. And Bubba didn't suffer, man. He had nice girl, and had his nice e-bike, and ate and when he wanted, and had fun. Bubba went back to the States. Just he really missed his kids. Looking for grandkids shortly. So he's done well with his Yield Max ETFs, and bought a brand new house in the same subdivision as his son. So he loves that. He's near family, loves that, and he does plan on coming back to Thailand for a visit. Jeffster, thanks for all your help, Brooke. I think you are ahead of the pack. Saylor is really hard to beat for a master of investing. Absolutely. Excuse me. Yeah, Michael Saylor is kind of a visionary as far as Bitcoin, and he's stacking. Good luck to the U.S. government trying to get $1 million. They'll tell you that, but maybe I shouldn't say that. They got the access to the money printer, so they can just keep printing paper to buy it, possibly. But I brought that up because I don't think anyone will catch Saylor. BlackRock, yeah, they're kind of neck and neck with Saylor, but that's more to me of an in and out trade. You get a lot of people buying into IBIT, that BlackRock, the Bitcoin shares, that might get out. Saylor, he ain't selling. I mean, that Bitcoin he owns is gone forever off the market. So watch the investment returns on that going forward. But yeah, it's an interesting time we live in. So for you guys that aren't familiar, I always tell people, watch that initial interview that caught my attention was with Tucker Carlson interviewing Michael Saylor about the history of money, inflation, what Bitcoin is, how to understand it. And it's all in layman's terms. And geez, I love watching that because it's so straightforward. You see life unfolding in front of you with what's going on around the planet and how Saylor is handling that. So, very interesting times. And hopefully it twigs an interest where you say, yeah, maybe there is something here. Maybe I better have a look. And trust me, guys, we got 91 people on here. Hit that like button. Make Darlene smile wherever she is down in Phuket. But you're the fortunate ones because the adoption in the world, it's growing dramatically, but we're not even at 1% of the population. So until, and this thing will become mainstream. It's coming that very quickly, but we're still at the infant stage of this adoption. And when it really hits, you'll see these tremendous 5x, 10x in Bitcoin price. And, what's it going to be at the end of the year? Well, it could be, 3x from today, if depending on how quick adoption goes. I mean, if the U.S. Treasury announces we're buying Bitcoin as a reserve asset, I think you'll see Bitcoin up 50% in one day. And that may very well happen at some point, but we'll see. Hopefully they're buying their bags or filling their bags before they announce that. That'd be the smart thing to do. Don Delonic, remember, Brooke, I cannot spend my $3,000 Social Security. Over the rail goes the money. Believe it or not, I can live in Dusagram Park 2 with maid, massage, facials, manicure, and pedicure for $1,000 a month. Now, there you go, guys. So on a budget, and that's not all what Donnie lives on. That's what he's paying for all that stuff, and he lives like a king. So, but yeah, you can really live affordably in Thailand, stress-free. That's what I tell people. You don't have the worries and the drama and the politics that you do have in the West. So take a look. Yeah. I think a lot of people are on here as to, hey, how can I best pay for that? So hopefully we can help that way. Robert Pierpont, I watched someone on YouTube that uses monster leverage with MSTY, like 600,000 worth, and he really knows what he's doing. I won't touch leverage on MSTY myself, no way, but done right, it can make you a lot. Yeah. Now, Robert, you got a point. I understand what you're saying, and I understand what that guy's doing. But for the average guy watching our channel, it ain't going to happen and not to use it. And real quickly, he's probably borrowed 600 grand against his net worth or margin account, call it, bought MSTY. He's probably paying an 8 or 9% a year interest on the loan through a margin account. And he's making some months more than that for 1 month. So in other words, he's got 11 months free, counting just the interest distribution, forget taxes. But yeah, no, that's not the average guy who want to do that. But there is gamblers. I don't consider gambling, that to me is gambling, and I'm not big on that. So using too much leverage, obviously. Freddie Quinn just tied the Blues with 1.6 seconds left in regulation time, 3-3. Yeah, the NHL playoffs are on. Toronto did well. They won, so I think they're off to Florida Panthers now. I'm not sure who the Blues are paying, Freddie, but boy, that's got to be heart-thumping when the last 1.6 seconds they tie the game up. Like, talk about deflating for who let the goal in versus, ecstasy for the winner, the scorer. Alpha says the Jets just tied the game with 1.3 seconds left. Okay, so that's who they're playing, the Jets and the Blues. I think it's St. Louis Blues and the Winnipeg Jets still. So Alpha supports the Canadian teams. So he likes Toronto. He had a real quandary because Toronto was against Ottawa. They're both Canadian teams, but I know he loves Toronto. And then he's happy when Vancouver wins and when Oilers and Calgary and now the Jets. So we'll see. Johnny Poulos from Australia. If you're going to contribute to the Soy 6 Economic Fund, meaning the ladies of the night, you better budget $6,000 a month. So in other words, John's opinion is if you really like those lady boys, and John does. No, I meant ladies of the night down there. That you want to triple your budget, guys. And I do know of subscribers, and I was talking to him in the pool. This is months ago, and he says, "Yeah, Brooke." He says, "Jesus," because I don't know, budgets came up. What do I live on? And I told him, and he says, "Oh shit, man, I'm a 100,000 baht a month just for the ladies. It's like 3,000 a month." What? I get shocked that. I'm married, but he's having the time of his life, he said. Okay. his point was, I can't keep doing this because I'll run out of money. So, but then I told him about Misty, and he's back at his usual habits, maybe on a lower, smaller scale. But yeah, Johnny's right. You depending on your lifestyle, guys. Now, yeah, there's the ladies here are quite beautiful. But like anything in life, there's good and bad. So I don't tend to focus on that. Stacks Bitcoin picked up 250 Tesla at $7. Good buy on that. I think it's trading around 8.5 now. Would like to get another 250 around that price, trying to diversify, not only relying on Misty. There's good points Stacks Bitcoin has come up with. Coop went pretty heavy on Misty and many of the subscribers, and I do tend to always mention Tesla as an alternative to diversify. Pays pretty good payout, 66 cents on say 850 stocks, so you're almost 8% a month on that, and that's kind of what you're getting with your MicroStrategy Misty payout. So they're in a ballpark league. So I think both stocks will go up, and I think both will continue paying dividends. And the underlying stock, meaning Tesla and MicroStrategy, I see going up. So his idea, Stacks, is to diversify, having more than one stream of income coming in. And the payments can go up or down. You could have one go up, the other go down. You're mad, I invested, and then then they reverse, and I'm happy I'm in that now. But yeah, diversification is not a bad thing. So yeah, 7's a great entry point. I think you're in at the low on since inception. So, and again, I always tend to think, guys, you make your money the day you buy. So if you bought in at Tesla at 7, you hang on to that. I think you'll do quite well. A double on that's like a $14 stock. So, but then a double on Misty's about a $40 stock, say, from where a lot of them got in. Good on you. W Secrets to Success vlog. Hello, gents. Using leverage to buy positions is too risky for me, as it is for me, W. It could go south quickly. It could, and it's not something that is theoretically wrong with the company. It just could be a general market panic. And then you're caught. Oh no, I got good stock. I got Apple, but I leveraged it to buy more Apple. Well, guess what? Apple dropped along. The good goes down with the bad guys in a panic. So that's how leverage could really hurt you, even though you're in great stocks. Do you have the ability to hang in there? That's the question. You get a margin call. The worst call you'll ever get in your life is a margin call, guys. Or a death in the family, obviously. But you get a margin call. Oh man, that's you got to have the money. You got to have the money in less than 24 hours, or else they sell it. They sell your position for you. David Pipe, where can I find information about Misty and how it works? Great question, David. That is a question every new person looking at Misty asks. So what I would say, and here's what I did. I heard about it in the pool from a guy named Bubba. And I'm thinking, this has got to be a scam. What the hell? They can't pay that kind of money. So I went on to, I believe it was at that time Perplexity, and pulled up what information I could. Just kept asking questions of the AI generator. What is this? How many months? What's the high? What's the low? What's the payment history? Blah, blah, blah. Obviously, you go to the YieldMax ETF website. You'll get a lot of information on there. Payment dates, upcoming payments. I think, and by the way, guys, I think August, you get 2 payments this year. So get ready for that. Wouldn't that be nice? Getting 2 payments in a month where you need 1 payment to live on, and you're getting an extra one. But okay, so where do you get information? Obviously, YouTube channels. The more you research you do, the better informed you become, guys. So there's one avenue. I use these AI search engines. I use Grok, primarily now. Perplexity is my backup. They're both good. They're both free. You don't pay. So that's good. Find someone that's owned it. you know, if you find a fellow, you know, hey, you ever heard of Misty? Oh, you own it. Oh, well, how do you find it? You know, do you mind talking to me about it? What price did you get in at? Of the, you know, and you get a lot of information about how they feel about it. Have they ever sold? Have they bought more? Did they reinvest? How'd that work? So yeah, just talking to people about it. There's chat groups. I'm sure you can go online and do that through, or, you know, in real life, you know, looking a guy in the face and getting his, you get a little better feel, I think. But yeah, so there's many avenues to research what it is. Now, a little more complicated, David, is how it works. The information about MSTY, most people will understand. They're just not sure how it works. So, and the reason is they use what's called synthetic calls, buy puts, sell puts, buy calls, sell calls. They're trading in tens of thousands of contracts on the option market, which is very liquid, which is good. But the technicalities, and you listen, give it enough time, make sure you understand the words you're reading. The biggest barrier to any study is misunderstood words. If you don't understand the meaning of a word, or you think you do, and it ain't right, everything after that is going to be foggy. So to understand how MSTY works, you'd have to do a lot more research. In a nutshell, layman's terms, buying and selling options creates income, provided the stock goes up. You can actually create income going down the other way, but in these cases, they tend to look at the long side, meaning they want to be long the stock. And that income then is paid back to the shareholders to a great extent. Every month it's paid, typically with what they've made. So yeah, anyways, that in a nutshell. But it's a great question. Everyone does ask that looks at it. YouTube channels are good. Just Google MSTY and you'll get a whack of thing, and just start watching the videos. You'll get a feel for it. And obviously channels like ours keep asking questions. LV says, wow, 150 to 250K for Bitcoin price by the end of the year he's referring. I like your thinking, but I'm hoping for 125 to 150. Hey, it's more than it is today, so that's good. Brooke is trying to be his buddy's neighbor in the high-end condo overlooking the sea. Oh yeah, that's down at it's called the Cove in jumped in or patio, wherever. But nah, that wouldn't be for me, guys. Roger Walker, would you buy Tesla and Bitcoin no matter the price? I definitely would Bitcoin, Roger. Tesla, I have to think on that. I might very well, but listen, Roger, here's my situation. I have enough Bitcoin and I have enough Tesla. I have my what I call full bags. So I'm probably looking at something like, maybe for me, a bit of Solana. But you can never have too much Bitcoin. MicroStrategy obviously is how I play it, but so Bitcoin I definitely would. Tesla, because it's a stock that's not limited in supply. There can be more stock issued. You've got like, God forbid something ever happened to Elon. Ooh, with Bitcoin, I have more certainty of where it's going to be in 5 years, and then where it's going to be in 10, and then 20, and then 50. So that I have complete certainty on. Tesla, I have a lot of certainty, but there could be black swan events with Tesla that I can't foresee, that could cause it not to perform. And therefore, I'd have to say, no, there would be a price I wouldn't want to. Now, would there be a price I'd buy it at? Yeah, if it drops, I'll buy more, same with Bitcoin. But, maybe I'm thinking, would I sell it? I won't sell the Bitcoin. Tesla I might, but hey, that's going to be a 5 or 10x, and depends, the circumstances can change too. So technology's changing, and you have to kind of monitor it. Chris McQuicklin, I got tired of wife's family asking for money. I bought 400 MSTY and sent and I send the dividends monthly. This ended all headaches. Family has to wait for the payout. Geez, I never thought of that, Chris. That's not a bad idea, guys. So you got a you have an Asian wife who needs money, or family does. Well, okay, how much? Oh, and they need this monthly. Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Okay, that's going to run me 200 shares, 100 shares, 400 shares of whatever stock, Misty in this case. Okay, that's their check. If that goes up or down, don't come to me. That's Misty's payment, but that's what you're getting. So there he's done his budget. Peter Huey, yes, true. Okay. Richard Woolley says, I love Misty. A lot of people do. Patrick says 1950, a bloody great price. Yeah, they got in. Derek says, can you use Apple Pay at places in Jomtien and Pattaya? I don't have Apple Pay. I know of it, Derek, and I believe yes. But that's not with certainty. I say that just from what I've and to come to experience in Thailand. Credit cards work, and that's basically a credit card in your wallet. They are kind of technically, logically advanced here compared to Canada. So I would have to say yes. I know I could use my Wise card, and I've used credit cards. I know I can use those and have. I have a bank card from Bangkok Bank, and I've used that as well. Most cases you can use Scan Pay, which is direct out of your bank. So, but yeah, when you're coming first time, you probably won't have the bank account, and you won't have, hopefully, maybe a Wise card. Derek, get into that. That's definitely, you can take anywhere on the planet. But maybe someone else here, or that would be a question either for Grok or on YouTube. There'd probably be an answer on that, maybe a video. But I don't have Apple Pay, so sorry. Blakester Drums up to 502. Misty just started stocks mid-March. Okay, so 502 shares. Good for you. If Misty keeps steady or goes up this week, I'll hold after the payout and use the dividends for more SMCY. I've seen that symbol there. I'm not sure what that is. Okay. $1.50 last payout. TSYY, $1.40. CVNY and Merrill. Okay. So that's quite a diversified portfolio Blakester has. Some of you guys may be of interest. Check those out. Some I've heard of, some I haven't. So, okay, Blakester says Palantir, Palti, 465. Yeah, but that stock then is up quite high. I think it was $60 or something. So, yeah, there's the one thing with these search engines, Grok, like I'll say, what's the and in fact, my TD Bank, I can do a screen there, shows me the price history of the stock for 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, whatever you want. So you can check the price history on those. Maybe use the Grok or Perplexity for the distribution schedule. Like, what are the last 12 payments on Misty? And quite often it'll come up with the right answer, and then sometimes you tweak it just if you're not certain. But yeah, there's lots of options that paying monthly. Blakester Drums, 1 or 2 weeks before the 90-day tariff is up. If there is no resolution, I'll probably dump half my stocks and hold, waiting for the Big Dipper. So there's Blakester thinking of going to cash and wait for the downturn. Yeah, it's there's a lot of people might agree with you on that, Blakester. Peter says, never heard of it. Okay, so there's some stocks he's never heard of either. W Secrets says, Tesla, recent news that the board is considering the removal of Musk. That's fake news. That is fake news. Here you go with this fake news, guys. I'm not you, W, but that the board totally denied that. And so people will generate this news hoping that the price drops where they can buy, or that they've shorted the stock and, in other words, sold it at the higher price, issue this fake news, price drops, then they buy back to cover their shorts, made a ton of money. So there's a lot of jujitsu, financial jujitsu going on and wrangling with, fake news like that. I'm sure that will cause huge volatility in the market going forward. Yeah, well, it it turned out to be, and quickly caught, thank heavens, that it was fake news. But it just goes to show you guys, you have to be careful of who you watch, who you listen to, and retire on no, brighter with Herbert, a YouTube channel, is heavy Tesla. Sorry, that's what he reports on daily. James Invest Answers, both recommend those guys for your. He's big on the Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, Tesla, and Solana, and yeah, neither one of those guys you'll get fake news out of, and they certainly don't discuss that removal of Musk as anything but fake news. But hey, it's good you brought that up, W, because people need to know that's what does happen out there. Peter JH, we all hate the Australian banks. Yeah. Well, they re-elected the prime minister over there, so interesting times ahead for Australia. Canada, we re-elected the same government that was there. Interesting times ahead for them, and I think there'll be more people looking to exit stage left. Stuart, morning, Brooke. 2:49 in the Robin Hood country of England. I should be asleep, but I'm enjoying the chat. Apart from the MSTY stuff, which, as you know, we can't buy. Oh, man. Well, Stuart, listen, there was Joe. Joe's from England. He asked me about that. And I said, oh, IBKR, they're all over the planet. International brokers. They're a good trading platform. They're legit. Your money's safe with them. You can buy stocks with them. Should be able to buy MSTY. Took him a while. He got it set up, uploaded the information they want to know and all this. And he was able to buy MSTY. And he got his dividend. So there you go. That's oh, and then he got a call. Okay, sir, we can't let you buy any more. Like, what the hell is going on over there? So he did actually get through, Stuart, and he was able. They didn't make him sell it. Okay, that's one good thing. They just said you can't buy any more. So what kind of laws are in England? That's ridiculous. I think you can buy MicroStrategy, Stuart. So that might be the, I mean, it's not a monthly payer, but it's unfortunate. So, yeah. Stu Level, breaking news. Trump is going to roll back the 145% Chinese tariffs. This changes everything. That will, Stuart. I suspected they would get rolled back. And listen, I think China is suffering worse than the States. Everybody's losing. But I think China's losing more from what I've read in the reports. And so when I heard they were talking tough a week ago, 2 weeks ago even, but this last week, I didn't hear that tough talk. Well, maybe, if things are right, we can come to the table and discuss this. Well, that's first you heard them backing off. So maybe they want to, come. And hey, it's actually good for everybody. States was getting taken advantage of, so they're going to watch that. And they got sharp. One thing I will say with Trump, guys, he has got brains around him. The guy's no dummy. He's surrounded himself with these top of the line guys in their fields, and for the most part, obviously. And that's great, So yeah, you got to put faith in him there. Stu Lovell, he's been pressured by big biz. Yeah, tariff is not good for anybody, like trade wars, I'm talking, sorry. So yeah, the sooner they get this reconciled, the better. But it's got to be fair, and it's got to be reciprocal. Like if India wants to slap 100% on agricultural tractors coming in, and we don't do anything with theirs, that's bullshit. So yeah, fair is fair. 10%, we're 10. You're 20, we're 20. So keep it even. LV says, had planned on renting my condo out in Vegas next year when I retire in Thailand, and got to thinking about it. Pro income. Yeah, so you got a condo in Vegas, LV. Yeah, if you've been to Thailand before, you kind of know what to expect. And if you're retiring here, obviously, or when I retire in Thailand, you might want to look at maybe selling that and, invest the funds, and, you got your return in your hands, so to speak. It's you control the money and the shares if you're investing in shares, and it's liquid. So that'll be your income in lieu of the income from the condo. Now, the condo's in Vegas, you're in Thailand. If something goes wrong in the condo, you get a leaky pipe and it floods the guy below you. Oh my God, you'll be flying back. But you don't need that headaches, do you? True story. Good subscriber, lives here. California, sold his condo, and heard a talk about MSTY. He put all the money he got from the condo into MSTY, and he got 18 and change. And talk about a happy camper. And this gentleman, what I would say was very risk averse, but he's starting to come around to the point. Yeah, maybe there is alternatives to S&P funds and treasury bills. Yeah. So don't be afraid of selling a hard asset like real estate, which I think going forward, guys, real estate might be, it's going to incur additional carrying costs. Real estate will. Taxes will keep going up. Insurances will keep going up. Maintenance costs will keep going up. Yeah, you hope your investment keeps going up. Is there certainty on that? Well, your market will dictate that. With Bitcoin, for example, in cases like MSTY, you will get a monthly check. We just don't know how much. In Bitcoin's case, it will go up 5 years from now, and 10 and 15. So there is alternatives to owning real estate. You might want to look at LV as selling that. Cons are the property tax, association dues, management company wear and tear, being on the other side of the planet. Yeah, I'm selling. Okay, so I rambled on for no reason. He knows what he's doing. Good. Robert, the guy running the MSTY trades has been doing options since the 80s. Correct. Robert's paying attention to these videos on the YouTube channel. Good for you, Robert. Yeah, he knows what he's doing. You can tell that, guys. These guys, they deal in tens of thousands of options, and they deal in multi-million-dollar positions, winning and some losing. And the share volume is the net asset values. I think they manage is like in the billions now, 3 billion, I think I read. And the trading volume is in the millions of shares daily. So my point of that, guys, you want to be in a liquid stock with a high net asset value with smart guys running it, and you got all that. So yeah, it's going to be around. LV, I hear more and more James Invest answers coming out your mouth. Yeah, he's good. I've been following him for years. In fact, I've been following him longer than Brighter with Herbert. Once I had no use for Tesla until I started understanding that it's an AI play, not a car company. I don't want nothing to do with car companies. GM, Ford, I had them in the past. Yeah, nothing. Yeah. So once you realize Tesla's not a car company, that's a division they have, but they're an AI company. They got mega packs for, like electric storage, power storage. They've got humanoid robots in development, actually working in their factories, soon to be on a commercial scale, sold to the public, let's say, or at least to business. They've got semi trucks going to be hitting the road to haul, replace diesel sucking engines. They've got robo taxis coming out in Austin in June. Once you realize what Tesla's into, and the more research I did, I started to realize that. Then I became a believer. Now, James Invest Answers has been a believer for quite a while, but even with him, okay, I'll see what I do my own research, and the longer you watch and follow somebody, and obviously proof's in the pudding. How's the performance been? Well, in the years I've been following him, investing in Bitcoin, MicroStrategy, and now Tesla, I'm very happy. So took their advice, did my research, and just decided to do the investment. And yeah, I'm glad I did. And I don't mind sharing that information with guys, LV. So that's one of the reasons I do promote James Invest Answers. I believe him to be very truthful and factual. He's data driven. And Brighter with Herbert has what I consider top Tesla analysts on his show constantly. And boy, you get right boots on the ground. You know, imagine the car coming out of the factory. In Tesla's factories and self-driving itself to the parking lot, parking itself. Well, guess what? That's going to happen. Eventually, it's going to be coming out of the factory, driving to the parking lot, and from there to the customer's home that bought it, all without a human. Sorry, I missed one there. Where are we here? This one here. What happens if Satoshi sells all or Saylor sells all at once? Well, Saylor's not selling. He's publicly told you that many times. And, you know, he's, you get a guy like Saylor meeting with the presidents of countries. I mean that plural. Like, he's met with several presidents of countries explaining about Bitcoin, his Bitcoin reserves, and that. Obviously, heads of corporations, many of them. Yeah, you're not going to be going back on what you said when you've got a reputation like that. Nor would he. Well, there is no second best investment. As far as Satoshi, he's got 1 million coins and they've never moved, and I doubt they ever will. So I'm not concerned. That would cause a bit of interest if that started to happen. Maybe that's lost forever. Maybe he's passed away. Maybe his intention was just to park those and never do anything, and we'll see. I don't worry about that too much, LV, nor should you. LV says the ultimate rug pull. Well, time will tell. There'd be buyers for those 1 million coins. What's Duke doing these days, Cooper? Satoshi is dead. Yes, it could very well be true. LV, you know who Satoshi is? I know who he isn't. No. What's Duke doing these days? Saylor is throwing away his keys upon his death. That is supposedly true, but now he personally, I think he owns 17,000 Bitcoin personally. He's not throwing away the keys of MicroStrategy. That's he is a shareholder, but he does not, actually personally own those coins. MicroStrategy owns those coins, and those are not the keys that he'd be throwing away. It would be, supposedly, he said this, his personal keys for his personal holdings, meaning the 17,000 Bitcoin. But I don't think he's ever been married. I don't think he's got kids. So, interesting. Maybe he'll think differently and leave it to charity or something. Stu Lovell, Satoshi is the government. Now we're getting into conspiracy theories. What's Duke doing these days? Satoshi's supposed to be Hal Finley or aliens from the future. Yeah, that's about a 50-50 chance on that. Yeah. No, hey, who knows? Stranger things. LV, so when Saylor dies, since you say Satoshi is dead, that means there's 16 million now. It's less than 10. Yeah, could be true. How much Bitcoin is actually out there to sell or move? And there's questions on that. What's Duke doing? That's what Saylor said. He will throw away his keys, personal stash. Personal, yes. Coins held with MicroStrategy will still be available. Yep. Okay, what are we? An hour and 40 minutes. We'll get through these. Richard Duggar, what part of Alabama are you from? Baba, what part of Alabama? I know he likes the Crimson Tide. Roll Tide. Peter Huey, thumbs up. Yeah, hit that thumbs up, guys. Make Darlene smile. Helps out the channel. Makes me look good. Terry Fallon from Bancroft. Hello, Brooke. Just wanted to pop and say howdy. A beautiful day up here in Bancroft. Got to go walk the dog. That's okay, Terry. Thanks for checking in, buddy. Hit that like button while you're here before you go. There's a regular. Probably no snow up there, too, which is good. LV, if you're thinking about hanging out on Soy 6, down where the ladies are, you better keep your residence back home, as there will come a day you will need to go home. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, that's there you go. So Soy 6, I think that, yeah, they're down in Pattaya. That's kind of the party town. I don't really go there. A lot of people here do. But yeah, you will have so much fun down there as a single guy. You'll want to keep going back. And, at the end of the month, oh, geez, I spent that much. So, but who knows? Fun doing it. Robert Pierpont at LV. That will happen to so many people if they're not careful, especially if you're younger. I think he's talking about losing your keys. So many people leave broke. They can't say no to a high flying life. Oh, sorry. Okay. So he's talking about, I heard a good story. Like, people come here first time, it's vacation. So you're in what's called vacation mode. Vacation mode means, to me, anything goes. Anything goes. Money's not the object. What I'm doing is not the object. I'm in a foreign country. I'm not back in, whatever job, or, I'm on vacation. So it's vacation mode. Okay, so we all kind of got an idea what that is. It starts, ends, 2 weeks, 1 month, whatever, you're back home, back to work. So you retire and you get here, and you're in vacation mode for a while, guys. The question is how long. If you get out of it after a month, you're probably okay. But 6 months later, and this has happened, I know people, subscribers, have come and they're in vacation mode the whole time they're here, and after 6 months they got to go back home. One case, back to work, because spent all the money. Maybe that was the plan. It didn't seem to be at the time, but you have to be careful that, sure, it's okay to be in vacation mode for a week or two, or maybe a month max, but then get into what's called more of a routine. You're not going to the soys every day or second day. You're not meeting with the ladies every second night. You're having a great time when you do it. And that's why you continue to do it. But eventually, you maybe run out of the scratch. So, but yeah, so, vacation mode, it's okay for a while. Get into routine mode. I'm in a routine mode, kind of do the same thing most days and love what I'm doing. It's stress-free. Enjoy the markets and just wait for the stocks to jump. Robert Pierpont, no Apple Pay is not accepted. Okay, well, there you go. Thank you for that, Robert. And I'm winding down here, guys. Robert Pierpont, Google says foreigners can use Apple Pay, though I know people who were just there and they found nowhere that accepted it. Okay, so maybe there you go. So, yeah, you can't always believe Google either, guys. But I would say the big malls would be your best chance. If you're needing something, to use it at the big malls. But probably the average small guy, maybe 7-Elevens, no, never heard of that, or heard of it and don't use it. But so you want to have backup, have some credit cards, empty balances, just as an emergency, guys. Get a Wise card, seems to work all over the planet. I have one, I've used it all over the planet. So that's good. And when you get here, try and get a bank account open as soon as you can. You got a place to put your foreign income into Thai baht, say. I use Wise for that transfer. Works slick. I get a good rate. But there's other options, obviously. And then you're okay, because the bank card I get here with Bangkok Bank, it's one of the biggest. It works anywhere. And typically you don't even use your card. You use what's called Scan Pay on your phone on the app. So they are technologically advanced here compared to the West. Robert says the catch on the board was looking into outing. We're talking about this Musk rumor. It's not true, only because the whole board didn't look into it. Some of the board definitely did 100% look into it in the wording that matters. Yeah, okay. But not something I took much credence in. And yeah, I mean, they wouldn't be doing their jobs if they didn't. Hey, what happens if he passes away? What are we going to do? So there's obviously some discussion, but you're right. It's in the wording. Blakester Drums, all the stocks I listed are Yield Max. Yes, Yield Max has a whack of them. I think they're even adding, believe it or not, a lot of the time, as well as competition now opening. There's other, can't think of their names, but I would tell anyone, probably stick with the original ones, the winners, and Yield Max is definitely that. So Peter, he says, why would MSTY pay out twice in the month of August 25? Please. Okay. I think what their idea is, Peter, they pay every 28 days. And so that means 13 payments a year, I believe, is how that's calculated. And so obviously there'll be 1 month during the year that has 2 payments. You know, one a month is 12 payments, but they pay 13 times a year. So that means that there will be 1 month with the extra. Now, so that's now to confirm this. This is just talk. You know, I'm just a guy on YouTube in an orange shirt. Peter, go on to YieldMax website, and they tell you on there the distributions for the rest of the year, and they got the exact payout date, ex-dividend date, record date. Those are the important dates. They're you know, kind of etched in stone, you might say, for the most part. They'll tell you, and I believe that's where it's listed. August is 2 payments, one at the start of the month and obviously one at the end. There's 31 days in August. So if they're paying every 28, that just happened to Peter to be the month you get the 2 payments. So that is where you would go to check that, is their YieldMax websites, because everything is open and it's listed. And that's the reason it's happening. Hello, mate. Why would Misty? Okay, so we had that one. What's Duke doing these days? 13 distributions a year, got to pay out twice once. Correct. Thanks. Okay, thanks, says Peter. No, you're welcome. LV, I love James as well. I also have been following him for a long period, and I have learned so much researching all that he speaks of. You're damn straight on that, LV. And, you know, I think I pay $9 a month to get his newsletter and, you know, some Patreon updates. He has other things where, hey, it's kind of like not one-on-one, but there's, you know, only, who knows, 50 or 100 of them that get all these updates and that, or access, I guess, to these algorithms that he uses to tell you when to buy, when to sell. More advanced than I need or want to get into at this stage. So, but a lot of people in the comments swear by those algorithms that he uses. So, you know, yeah, if you're young enough, got the time, and, you know, the money, yeah, that might be something to look into. I think it's called Patreon that, you know, you would join for that. It's good to know someone that you trust. After you guys watch him for a while, you'll get the same impression I did. Obviously, you know, take a lot of videos, a lot of time, but oh yeah, this guy knows his shit. He knows what he's talking about. He's trustworthy. He's very straightforward, very open. Terry says, Brooke, snow is gone, sun is out. Put the snowblower away, just waiting for the bugs to show up now. Yeah. Yeah, some of those mosquitoes up there, or at least black flies, are like helicopters. So just joking. Don says, I didn't realize that many men were paying for a lot of sick buffaloes and mama and daddy's hospital bills and buying houses and cars for all the ladies of the night in Pattaya. Donnie, you did realize that. You just don't want to say it. So, yeah, Donnie, hey, it's just part of life for people, I guess. But there's a segment of us, me included, that it's not our cup of tea. Never have, never will. So, but then I'm a guy that, hey, I like being married. I want to stay that way. Robert Pierpont, I just saw a video by a guy who has been living in Bangkok for a year. He went to Pattaya this week and blew the whole monthly entertainment budget in 2 days. That's what Soy 6 can do to people. You know, you're right on that, Robert. I mean, I've seen, you know, guys walking down the street, and I mean, not it's one lady. It's 3 or 4 of them, and they're all gorgeous. They come out and they grab, hey, come on, you're coming with us. You're going into this bar right here. That's where we work. You know, we think you're beautiful. And, you know, you get caught up in this. And, you know, maybe the guy is 60. Who knows? Maybe he's 40. Who knows? I don't know. But, yeah, you can get caught up in it. So it's kind of like something I say in life. Hey, you should try, you know, look at something once and see and make your own decision. You know, you want to go down there and see what it's like, you go, you know. You might not ever go again, or you might go every night. LV 13 at 28 is 364, so it all adds up. Yeah, we're talking about that extra payment. It's once a year. Blues Jets game 7, and it's in the second overtime. Wow. And I think this is the last comment. Yes. No. Yeah. Here we go. What happened there? What Stuke says, Don DeLonic, simply epidemic these days. Okay. All right, guys. Oh, here's Robert's got one. The guy that blew the budget was about 45. Okay, so there you go. Yeah, he's, but I'm sure he had a good time for those 2 days. All right, well, that's Crypto Monday, guys. I think we'll end it here. Been an hour and 50 minutes roughly. Hit that like and subscribe if you can. If you find it valuable or useful. Helps out the channel, apparently, Coop says, so that's good. So we'll stay tuned. We'll keep updates what we can. Fire off any questions. Keep them in mind, even on the live streams. On the, I think the next live stream is there's audio or videos coming out this week. Coop said so. We won't have another live stream till next Monday, and then we can kind of recap what's happened this week in crypto, which will be fun. Terry's got a. I'll just hope to make it there in 2027. Meet you in Coop. Yeah, we'll be here, Terry. Hopefully, God willing, and definitely look forward to meet you from Bancroft. Alpha says, thanks again. Thank you, Alpha. Thanks for being a buddy. I'll give you a call after this if you're still up. Live and learn with Mike. Thanks again. Thank you. Okay, guys, without further ado, we'll sign off. Coop's on a road trip down to Phuket and then on to Malaysia. So we'll be interesting stories when he gets back. Probably a week this Wednesday, he'll be a live stream, and we'll discuss that. In the meantime, stay safe, stay healthy. Check out your MSTY if you're so inclined, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thanks, guys.